Hello guys, welcome to my video. This is Derude Guru. This is a video series where I try to help people understand um, where the value in their money, or understand what the fair value of crypto assets are, and how to smartly invest their money. So right now we'll also be covering crypto raiders, but maybe in the future we can cover other games as well. But today we're going to be talking about crypto raider characters. The crypto raider characters are, I would consider, a short-term investment strategy. And their main purpose right now, as the state of the game is right now, is to generate like ore or gear, which you could then sell from Aurum from the dungeons. Um, so right here I have a loot table. Um, Rough estimates. This is not very scientific, but it is a pretty good estimate of how much each generation earns, basically. So I'm going to try to teach you guys how to kind of calculate what their weekly earnings are, where the best value is, some investing strategies as well. It kind of teach you how to calculate it yourself as information changes, right? I'm recording this May of 2022. This information could change within a month. Who knows? Um, but as information changes, I will be making update videos and things such as that to cover this new information that comes along. So what I've already done is I've already set up these tables and roughly calculated what your average return on Aurum is per run. And you get 7 per week. So then we could calculate what your weekly earnings are. So all you have to do is just times that because we get 7. Currently we set 7 runs. All you have to do is multiply that by 7 and put them on all the cells here. So each column you're multiplying by 7. Because we're comparing Gen 1 through 6. Gen 1 through 6, they are priced differently on Opensea, or secondary or third party market, whatever you want to call it. But each one has a 20% difference in Aurum bonus. So Gen 1s are 200, Gen 1s are 200, Gen 2s are 180, Gen 3s are 160, Gen 4s are 100, wait a minute. Gen 5s are 120, Gen 4s are 140, Gen 3s are 160, Gen 2s are 180, and Gen 1s are 200. Where did I mess up? I don't know. Anyways, but these are already calculated anyway, so you don't really need to worry about that. Um, we will talk about Gen 1s because they're pretty unique, and Gen 2s as to some certain extent. But let's just try to figure out what the ROI is on these characters and what the fair value is as well. So all I gotta do is do annual earnings. There's 52 days in a. Oh wait, nope. Before we do that, actually, it's fine. Let's just do it now because right now, this currency is in Aurum. So your Gen 1 on average per year, you're probably going to be making 12,000 Aurum a year. Um, that could change as we're getting new content and new dungeons, but right now, say the game is static and nothing really changes. This could go up or down. It also depends on your luck and things like that. So just bear that in mind. So now we can convert that to annual dollar earnings in dollars. Like that. Um, Current Aurum price is, so when I'm calculating fair value of things, I kind of want to use today's numbers. Um, so I can make decisions for today. So that is how much you are earning per year. Let's grab floor prices. And I guess I could talk about as we go along. This might I kind of didn't want to do this, but this might date the video. Before we pull ROIs, let's pull fair value. Well, the annual earnings is the fair value because I believe the fair value of a rater is 100% of its annual revenue. With the exception of Gen 1s being a special case, I believe you should be making about 100% return in value on your rater. So really, we've already kind of calculated the fair value here. So with the exception of Gen 1s, Gen 1's fair value are very subjective because they have the highest revenue potential out of all six. Because when you're spending keys, you spend 25 Aurum, and there's a good chance if you spend about 1,000 keys, let's say, there's a good chance you're probably going to be pulling legendary and maybe two myth epics. So that's going to be enough alone is going to be um, more Aurum than what you spent. And that's very unique with Gen 1s. I mean, it doesn't account for the time you have to spend grinding out those dungeons, but there's a good chance that you will be earning a profit by spending keys on Gen 1s. That's what kind of makes them special. So you can't really put a price on Gen 1s. I recommend you own at least one because of that special property that they have that no other generation can really benefit. I mean, in this scenario, Gen 2s and Gen 3s can also profit from keys running the current Heroic Awaken dungeon, which drops a legendary. But that's RNG dependent. So the best odds are going to be from Gen 1s. And that's what makes them special and unique. Not to say that Gen 2s and 3s aren't capable, but you want to maximize those odds. So let's talk about floor prices. This might date this video. Prices are they'll fluctuate very highly. So this video might itself might become outdated. So I'm gonna start marking things in red. Oh, I should probably do this before I proceed any further. On this spreadsheet that I will provide to you guys, there are certain things that you need to edit and customize yourself because information changes very fast. So I'm going to be marking these in red. Just so you know that you're supposed to be updating these amounts. So let's do that here as well when I converted this. So instead of typing it in this formula, it'll refer to that. And there you go. So once you change this number, the amounts change as well. So anything marked in red is something you need to update yourself so you can get the most up-to-date information from your spreadsheets. So let's go explore Opensea and get current floor value of characters. We're not really looking at race and we're not really looking at levels. We're just looking at pure floor levels. Oh, this is not cooperating. Oh, oh no. Oh, okay. That was interesting. So because Opensea ruined my video, I went to Liberty and just filling these in myself. So let's just mark them red. So when Opensea works, you can go ahead and update these yourself. They're not working. I have to use my old numbers because currently Opensea is not working, but that's beside the point. So there's another variable that you need to update as well. So you can calculate an accurate ROI, assuming you are buying Raiders on that day. you divide the earnings by the price. Whoops. I always get my division wrong. I don't know why. It's something I always do. 100% of the time, my division will always be backwards. I really have a hard time grasping. Okay. So you're thinking to yourself, oh wow, 248 and 247% return on investment is amazing. Well, there's only one problem with that, and that is your key costs. So that kind of bites into our bottom line. You simply just can't go to Opensea and buy a level 1 raider. No, you need to invest some capital. Whoops. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. It's just me versus the world today, huh? Okay. Well, I don't know what just happened, but let's just ignore it. So, the thing you need to consider are key costs. Now, depending on the level of creator you're buying, the higher the level, the less keys you need to buy. And that's where our level calculator comes into play. Um, these are my rough estimates as to um, how many dungeons you need to do to achieve what level. Some of you might have be more successful, and you might be able to achieve heroic awakened at level 8. That's fine. So these estimates are a little bit conservative, but I don't expect someone kind of newish to the game to kind of know that at what point, like what's the optimal route to get to heroic awakened. This is kind of assuming that you are progressing on your own pace, right? So so we can calculate based on what the raider is you're buying, what the key cost is. So if you're buying a level 10, your key cost is going to be a whole whopping 0, which is great. If you're buying a level 9 raider, you only have to worry about buying 50 keys. 17 bucks. That's what's going to cost you to buy a level 9 raider, which is kind of negligible. I mean, you're going to get some Aurum back from running Heroic Awakened anyways, so that's just the raw cost. It's not calculating the reimbursement you get from Laz, selling gear to Laz, right? So now we can work our way up. Um, So you do want to get to level 10. Being level 10 is optimal because when you're EXP capped, you're never going to fall behind in experience. So I think that's a very good value that you should do. Or at least get to the most relevant. I mean, you don't really need to get the EXP cap, but you definitely want to be level 10. So you can take advantage of that third skill and those extra stat points you get. It's going to help you through progression as new content is added to the game. So you can refer to this chart and then you can just manually add it into your key cost row. So we're going to assume that all of these floor prices are, level 2. So that is $35. And that's going to eat into our bottom line. So what you do is you edit this. I'm going to edit this formula. And oh, those are not percentages, but no, we need to add it, not subtract. There we go. And these are dollar amounts as well. There we go. Oh, what happened here? Eh, silly, silly, silly sheets. All right, so now that's fixed. Now, because when you account for keys, now we have a realistic ROI. But chances are, you're probably gonna get like a Gen 1 at a level 9, at a decent level. The older the generation is, the better chances they're not going to be level 1 when you buy them. So that's something you have to consider, and that's something you have to update as we go along. This should be marked red as well. That's very important. And then this would be updated as we get more levels as well, because something you have to know is that every time a new item level gear is added, um, everything before it gets nerfed. So you optimally want to be farming a dungeon with the most up-to-date level gear, and that costs keys. So I think spending $35 in Aurum to get a raider to farm the end game dungeon is a reasonable expectation. And that's about 135 keys. 135 keys times 35, that should be. Oh, hold on. 130. Is my math wrong? Oh, no. Great. That should be C9. Oh, that messed up my math tremendously. Oh, now what happened? Ah, shit. Okay. Okay. So now that should be fine. $44. Er, minor correction. There we go. Now that we've got that corrected, my math was wrong. And these formulas were incorrect. So it costs about $44. Because the reasonable expectation is that you're going to be buying 130 keys. Right. 130 keys. So now you could see, based on these floor prices, what's trading below fair value? And the sample answer is Gen 3s and 5s. So it's really up to you. Do you want to get the Raider with the best ROI or the best earning potential? And that's trading at or below fair value, which would be Gen 3s. Optimally, you would be buying Gen 3s. There's a good chance they're not going to be level 1. It's a better chance than Gen 4. It just depends on whatever's on sale right now, too. So you just have to adjust what your key costs are based on what's on sale. You just come in here, edit it, say you could buy a level 9 Gen 3 for 72 bucks. Only cost 17.50 to fix it up. That's a pretty good ROI. That's incredibly good. That's a good deal. Level 9 Gen 3 at $72. Pick that up, definitely. Um, so hopefully this gives you an understanding of, you know, where the value is. You just have to do this math. Figuring out annual earnings is very difficult because things change, such as Aurum value. Right now, Aurum value is 0.014. It was about 2 cents about a month ago. So things change. So you just have to adapt to your math and making sure you're buying something with the best value. What not to do. Um, my first advice is to buy a shit ton of Raiders without considering the cost of Aurum, like we discussed. You have to use the level calculator to figure out about rough average of how much Aurum you're going to be buying to accompany these characters you're adding to your collection. So buying buying a Raider based on their gear, I kind of advise against that unless you know what you're doing. So if you're buying a fully geared out character and it's close to floor, I think I would recommend picking it up, obviously. Um, but don't spend too much money thinking that the gear they have is worth the price. That might not always be the case. It might be better for you to farm it yourself. It depends. Um, but you should know that gear levels are inflating. So right now the relevant level is 26. Shelling out a lot of money for level 26 gear, you might feel bad when 28 comes and you immediately upgrade that gear, and the premium you spent on that gear is now wasted. Um, I would heavily advise against buying Gen 6s unless you could justify the ROA on them. And the reason is that they will not appreciate in value. The market value for Gen 6 will always stay around fair value or below. Um, and that's because the current recruiting system they have planned, Gen 6s will be the base generation. So in theory, there's going to be an infinite supply of Gen 6s. Gen 5s, 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1s, those that supply of those generations have a hard limit. Most of the Gen 4s and 5s haven't really been recruited yet, but there won't be any more Gen 3s, 2s, and 1s, so it might be best to buy Gen 3s under these circumstances. But really, you should be buying a Raider based on its earnings, not really focused on whether or not that asset will appreciate or not. That's why I consider these short-term assets. Maybe that'll change. That sentiment might change in the future. Like obviously, Gen ones are kind of an exception. I consider those long-term investments, because their intangible benefit outweighs their revenue potential. Well, that's because the revenue potential is so high, but their annual potential rather. You're gonna want to hold a Gen 1 for longer than a year is my recommendation. So if you don't like what you see, if you're looking for something specific and you don't like what you see on Opensea, always check out the private channel trading channel. You might get a better deal, and you might get more bang for your buck that way. So that's always a valid option. Um, Always look for reputable traders. Usually someone who's been in the community for a long time, you could do a little background check on them. If they've been in the community, if they're like an OG, I think they're definitely a reputable trader, and you could trade them with them privately without a middleman. Um, so I think that pretty much covers it for the fair value of crypto raider characters. So the upcoming video will be on mobs and maybe alchemy tents. But there's one little thing I want to add. I don't want anyone saying I completely ignored this. But let's talk about gathering real quick. So gathering is when you pretty much stake your raider almost, and you send it off to a quest. And every 9 hours they gather like a grim weed or an eye of new or what's that other resource called? You can't even sell that other resource anyway, so it's not relevant. But right now, Grimweed is the highest herb on the market. And right now it's fetching for 1.94 Aurum. Um, so it takes about 11 hours to gather a Grimweed. So on average, you're gathering about 2 a day. So that's 14 a week. And just add the value of Aurum. And there you go. So you're making about 38 cents a week on gathering. It's not that much. This could change in the future. Gathering might be a better money maker in the future. But right now it's pretty negligible. I personally don't quest right now, at least for Aurum. So you're not going to be making much from gathering. But it is something I didn't want to overlook it, and it is something to consider. Um, let's make this annual. So you make about $20 a year extra. So if you want to micromanage your raiders, you do their questing and gather, you can add that right in there. And it does bolster their ROIs a bit. So if that makes you slightly more bullish, that's something to consider. But gathering changes. Um, who knows what the fate of gathering is? If it gets better, then that's great. If not, then it was negligible anyways. That's a very small percentage of your total annual earnings anyways. So if Grimweed's value cuts in half tomorrow, it's not a significant loss to you anyways, because you're mainly invested looking for Aurum from gear rather than Aurum from Grimweed anyways. Um, so once we have enchanting and fishing, some of these revenue streams will be added, and that's always a nice welcome change. So once those are added, I'll obviously update this information. So if you want access to this spreadsheet, it is available in the description. So I would recommend you download it for yourself, keep it handy, update it as you go. If you're looking on Opensea and you're wondering, is this a good deal? Is this level 10 worth buying? And the premium is worth less than $44, and you probably want to go for it, especially if it's end dungeon ready, right? That's cutting your key cost to zero and helps your ROI up a bit. Um, so I think that covers everything. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Um, I'll have you more helpful guides in the future. I hope this helped you. If you have any feedback, let me know. Thank you very much.